Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for joining me. My name is Alex Barnett. I'm head of developer relations at Postman. And today I want to talk to you about why collaborative API development is not just a nice to have, but a necessity for modern software and API development. Before I begin, just a little bit about my background, which I think is relevant for this talk. My career has been primarily focused on engaging with developers about developer platforms and about a passion of mine, APIs. I really do love APIs. I love helping developers learn how to use APIs, specific APIs, and how to integrate those APIs into their applications, their software, into their workflow. I first came across Postman around 10 years ago. I was leading the Intuit developer platform, building an ecosystem of third-party apps that work with QuickBooks Online. And in those early days, there were just really a handful of apps that were working with QBO, as it was known then. And our team's mission was to enable third-party developers to integrate their apps with QBO via APIs so that the QuickBooks customers will be able to use those apps to be able to run their small business and have those third-party apps send data and integrate and synchronize with that data inside of QBO seamlessly. And at that time, we were looking for ways to be able to speed up the ability for developers to be able to learn our APIs, start experimenting with those APIs, and then integrate, and then finally publish their integration into our App Store. And we invited Postman to demo their V1 of their product, as it was at the time. And we immediately saw the value of how being able to go to the Intuit developer portal, click the Run in Postman button as part of the documentation on our portal, and then bring in the API collection into their own instance of Postman was a real game changer in terms of the ability for developers to quickly learn about those APIs and speed up their entire process. And in that time, we were able to bring in 700 apps to the ecosystem, and I've been a Postman fan ever since. And Postman itself has grown quite a bit in that time. There are now 35 million developers around the world, growing pretty fast, even in places like Antarctica with a 40% growth. All of 10 developers now at 14 developers there, depending on Postman, to fuel their API projects. Now, I did mention that I'm passionate about APIs. But why? Well, as an example, in 2008, Programmable Web, a website that listed public APIs for in their directory, had around 559 APIs in 2008, which was a whole 2x over the previous year. And if you have a look at this chart, you can see that that was really just the beginning of an explosion of public APIs that would be made available for the developer community. We were excited because we understood as a community that the web would become increasingly programmable, increasingly networked, increasingly distributed, and help make the internet smarter. All of that enabled by APIs. And as we know, APIs are powerful abstractions in computing that encapsulate complex technology and make technology usable and composable. They unlock the creativity and enable new innovation to come to the world. And without them, we just wouldn't have the web, mobile apps, or the cloud. They are the backbone of modern software development, connecting those different systems and enabling seamless machine communication across the internet. But building APIs effectively does require more than obviously just writing code. It requires and demands a truly collaborative effort across the development, the QA life cycles, with different team members like product management and many other teams, both internal and external to the team. And by the end of this session, I hope to show you that Postman facilitates this collaboration, making API development not only more efficient, but also more enjoyable for everybody involved. The shift that we've seen from code first to API first, API development is now a well-established pattern where we've gone from API development as an afterthought to now where APIs are the true foundation of development. So prioritizing API design before other code speeds up the development process. And with this shift, engineering organizations have learned that they need the tooling, the enablement, and the processes to build and deliver great APIs. And so building APIs before writing the other code has obviously a number of benefits. It enables developers to be far more productive from the get-go as they can understand what the APIs do and how they work. And without this clarity, development teams can actually waste quite a lot of cycles searching for information, or worse, get stuck. However, API development is complex and multifaceted. Prototyping, coding, testing, and documenting are just the beginning. All these tasks and more are often fragmented across different tools and teams, leading to inefficiencies, miscommunications, and delays. In traditional development environments, silos will create barriers to collaboration. Disconnected tools and processes lead to time-consuming debugging and a lack of coordination between teams. And this results in a lot of manual work, slow developer onboarding, out-of-date APIs, and the potential to introduce security vulnerabilities along with that. And when developers work in isolation, they miss out on all the benefits of a collaborative problem-solving and shared knowledge approach, all of which can significantly delay progress and cause a lot of frustration. And while a lot of companies are using products like Postman to support their daily workflows, many teams are still using these tools in a limited way, where individual developers are running tests, saving requests, and generating API artifacts, but all in their own siloed personal accounts, and doing so in a single player mode. They're not actually able to share this work easily with teammates. Instead, they can find themselves sharing by importing and exporting source code. And when these developers build and test APIs in silo, we will often see teams duplicate work, experience versioning issues, spend excessive time in meetings trying to get up to speed on the API assets. All of this leads to inefficient collaboration on development, but it doesn't have to be this way. We need a collaborative approach to API development because it is the best approach to overcome these challenges. Remember, when it comes down to APIs, you're either producing or consuming APIs, and often both. And either way, you need to collaborate with other stakeholders. Front-end and back-end engineers, QA engineers, product managers, and other stakeholders should be able to easily access the APIs while in development, understand them, and contribute effectively. By using a collaborative API development platform, you should be able to mock, build, test, and organize your APIs along with the documentation, your tests, and other API artifacts all in one place, so you can streamline that communication, reduce the time for time-consuming meetings or emails. And of course, you want to be able to keep your sanity. Here's a data point that I think speaks to the need of a collaborative approach to API development. In our State of the API Report 2023, where we surveyed 40,000 developers and API professionals who responded to our survey, it's the largest of its kind in the industry. We asked what percent of the APIs that they're developing were intended for public, private, or partner consumption and collaboration. And the answer is resounding, that now 61% of all APIs they're developing are for internal use only. And this is up 50% from what we saw last year, and 50% again from what we see and saw in the prior 2 years. And if you remember that graph I showed you earlier of those public APIs, that's literally the tip of the iceberg. So much of the work that's now going on in API development is intended as private APIs. And this underscores the need for tools that help teams to catalog, document, and collaborate on the development of internal APIs for the consumption and integration by other teams, and not just the APIs that they're externalizing for partners or for the public internet. And by the way, if you're interested in taking part in this year's survey, we'd love to hear from you. At the end of the talk, I'll be able to share a way for you to be able to share your perspective and also access the results when we publish them. Okay, so we've talked about some of the challenges that teams face in the context of API development and the need for an approach for API development that is collaborative. And to do that, we really need to have a single platform that enables that collaboration. So I want to talk about some of the specific benefits that such a platform should bring. First, it should dramatically accelerate the API development process. Second, it should improve the end-to-end quality of the APIs. Three, it should be able to enable real-time collaboration across all the teams involved throughout the entirety of the lifecycle. And last but not least, it should enable security at scale with robust governance and compliance. So let's go into each of these areas in more detail. Whether you're prototyping, testing, or documenting, it should enable you and your team to do all of this in one place, eliminating the need to juggle multiple different tools. You want a way to be able to collect, organize, and share your API requests and make it easy for teams to discover and share and build and run tests together, ensuring consistency across the development lifecycle. It's crucial for avoiding the kinds of errors that can occur, that might occur when information is just scattered across different platforms. And so teams should be able to quickly create, execute, and iterate on these APIs, reducing the amount of time that it takes to hit that initial 200 OK response. Quality assurance should be enabled by the platform through continuous testing and early feedback loops. This means that bugs and vulnerabilities can be caught early, well before they hit production, saving time and reducing the risk of issues in live environments. Backend developers need to be able to build and share API mocks, enabling front-end teams to start designing their UI in parallel and right away. This parallel workflow accelerates development and should improve the overall quality of the final product. And it should also facilitate smooth editing and communication of changes to any API, ensuring that everyone is aware of the updates to prevent rework, slowing down progress, and increasing costs. Real-time collaboration across all the teams that are involved is crucial. So you want workspaces that contain collections of the APIs and the artifacts that should be able to be shared. And you should be able to manage access to those workspaces across your team, your partners, or even the broader developer community. Workspaces should provide a centralized location where all stakeholders can contribute and act as the single source of truth for API-related collections, environments, mocks, monitors, and other linked elements. By collaborating in a workspace, your edits should be able to sync with your team in real time, ensuring that everyone involved is aligned and no critical information is missed, and prevent the kind of workflow disruptions that occur when a team is out of sync. Workspaces should have a version history, a change log to be able to review, update, transfer, delete, and revert actions made by you and your team on private and shared elements, and enable you to revert changes to a collection, restore it at an earlier point in time. Product managers should be able to spec out and mock and share APIs quickly. QA teams should be able to quickly write tests, and DevOps teams should be able to integrate their workflows seamlessly. All teams contributing and collaborating in real time together. And you want to do all of this while you're scaling in a secure way. As your API projects and teams grow, maintaining security and compliance becomes increasingly important. It should be able to or enable secure organization-wide distribution of APIs. Sensitive data and credentials should be protected, ensuring that access is tightly controlled and that your APIs remain secure. Local data residency should enable you to meet regulatory requirements by keeping data within designated geographic regions. And these governance features should be designed to protect your APIs while enabling your teams to work efficiently and scale as needed. So those are the key benefits we all want from a platform that enables a collaborative approach to API development. Now let's look at some of the key features you want to have in a platform like that that enables a multiplayer mode and do so across the API development lifecycle. To set the scene, let's walk through a typical API development process where all the players need to work throughout the journey, from design, develop, secure, deploy, observe, test, right across that life cycle. And the teams, product managers who define the API specs, the builders, the front end and the back end engineers who generate the code for the API, the QA engineers who are writing and triggering API contract tests, technical writers who are creating the API docs and keeping them in sync with their code management tools and content publishing platforms, DevOps teams who automate and streamline integration and testing. All of these teams have to be able to collaborate across the life cycle, and not just within their own organizations, but often with teams outside of their own organizations. And as you can see and you can imagine, there's a lot of complexity to manage. Let's start by introducing the concept of API collections. It's a foundational concept within Postman, and they're the building blocks of API development. So they allow you to be able to organize a set of requests sent to API endpoints, and a collection can include safe responses from those requests, along with the endpoint authorization types, parameters, and other details. Collections allow you to be able to organize your requests using folders and subfolders according to the requirements of your API project, and automate the generation of documentation for your collection. You also include other information about your environment, sets of variables that you're able to reuse in your requests. And all of this happens in a structured, accessible format, making it easy to share and collaborate with others, allowing you to track changes over time and revert previous versions if necessary. So all of this is crucial to maintaining the integrity of the APIs and making sure that changes are implemented systematically. So those are collections. Let's talk about workspaces, and they're really the vehicle for collaboration. So you want to be able to share those collections and make it as simple as inviting collaborators to your workspace, which contains those collections, who can then access and interact those collections immediately. So this reduces the need for the back and forth communication, ensuring that everybody has access to the latest information. And by grouping API collections into those workspaces, you can manage access, track changes, and ensure everybody's working with the latest, most current version of the API. This is very important for maintaining consistency and avoiding conflicts during development. And it's the combination of collections and workspaces that fundamentally changes API development from a single player activity to a multiplayer team-based enterprise. Workspaces are the shared canvas for multiplayer teamwork. Now we have three different workspace types, public, private, and partner, each tailored to different collaboration scenarios. Public workspaces enable publishing of APIs to a public API network, making those assets in that workspace available to anybody on the internet. Private workspaces enable you to do so for your internal teams only, offering a central directory for workspaces and the API collections. And partner workspaces allow collaboration with external partners, enabling them to be able to consume your APIs and collaborate with API projects. So each of these workspaces come with role-based access control to make sure each of the collaborators has the appropriate permissions, maintaining security and order within your projects. So those are the different kinds of workspaces enabling different collaboration scenarios. So how do all the teams actually stay up to date? Well, users can use users can post updates and track changes so that anybody invited to your team workspace can collaborate securely and effectively, enabling automatic notification to members about changes to the APIs and be synced in real time. And they can also collaborate using comments. They can at each other right inside, right in line against the code, for perfect clarity of context. And team members can respond directly to specific comments and create conversation thread that makes it easy to follow replies instead of losing context. And by the way, this is available through an integration native to Postman within Slack. So if that's your preferred kind of messaging platform internally, you're able to do that too. So it's the combination of collections and workspaces that fundamentally changes the API development process from a single player activity to a multiplayer team-based enterprise. Another key feature that we recently introduced is called Package Library, which provides the ability to reuse scripts for teams and individuals. So first, let's talk about scripts. They provide workflow logic for your API requests, allowing dynamic behavior to requests and collections. So you can use pre and post response scripts to write API tests, build requests that can contain dynamic parameters and pass data between requests. And scripts are really essential for automation. And you're able to share commonly used scripts and tests within your team via the package library. So while repeating code across multiple requests is a problem on its own, even for a single developer, the problem magnifies in the team setting where common logic is only available through copy and paste, resulting in redundant, low confidence, error-prone tests with a high resistance to refactoring and sharing. The package library provides the ability to be able to reuse these scripts for teams and individuals, so that no more kind of repeating the business logic in multiple places. This code reuse saves time and reduces error, all resulting in higher quality APIs. So teams need to collaborate through the API development process, and we also need AI to collaborate with us as we develop APIs. And let me introduce you to Postbot, AI assistant and collaborator for all things API testing and documentation. Helps you design better test cases for API calls because it has a deep understanding of the API that you're working on. Writing large tests, as we know, can be really time consuming, especially when you're getting started. Postbot can write tests from scratch, visualize responses, debug issues, and provide curated support. There's a lot more that Postbot can do. And in this space, we're just getting started. We are already arrived at over 1 million users of Postbot on our platform. And the opportunities for AI to accelerate API development are huge. So let me just recap on the 5 key benefits of using a collaborative approach to API development. We get an accelerated development and deployment. We'll get enhanced onboarding for new team members, improved quality and reduced errors, better communication and change management, and scalability for growing teams and organizations. So in conclusion, collaborative API development is not just a nice to have, it is truly necessary for modern software development. And by adopting collaborative tools and practices, teams can overcome traditional challenges in enhancing productivity and deliver high quality APIs that drive innovation and customer satisfaction, from design to testing to documentation and deployment, ensuring that your teams can collaborate effectively and achieve exceptional results. Lastly, as I mentioned, if you are interested in taking part in this year's State of the API survey, we'd love to hear from you. Just use this QR code where you can respond to the survey and then be able to access the results as soon as we are ready to publish. With that, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.